Hey folks, Vince the Evil DM here. Welcome back to another Too Long Didn't Listen. This past weekend I had run my Palladium Fantasy game and we got to have a couple hours of gameplay. Wasn't was pretty good. The players had fun. We had to introduce two new people into the group. So I had to figure out how to bring that in. So the group basically started off by the last place we left off was the outpost. After they cleared out the outpost from the orcs and the goblins, one of the players decided to take the heads of the orcs and the goblins and put them on spike or pikes, whatever you want to call them, on the outside of the actual outpost. The people of the outpost were a little unnerved about this and wanted to know more about this player character, I should say, and wanted to know where he was from, and they wanted to make a note of this because they did not like this behavior. The summoner of our group, name skips my mind for the moment, but he actually quietly went over and removed them after Lord Liam Brightwood, left. He was the one that put them on the pikes. He went and removed them, and the villagers or the outpost people actually thanked him for that and decided that that was good. So that made up for it. The group then traveled back to the Guild of Heroes, which was uneventful. Got their reward, and they were told to go to a meeting room because the wizard magicy system matching thingy matched them up with two new people. Two new people that just finished their first mission and were the same level of guild people as they were. They went into the meeting room and they met two new people. One was going by the name of Old Nomi, who was a gnome, and another one was going by a handsome looking human named Shep. Shep had two gorgeous women with him, and they seemed to hang on his every word. The group, after asking a bunch of questions about that, decided to accept them into the group for now since they were matched up, and everybody's pretty much a good player, so why not? After that, the attendant came in and said they wore, and let me get to that for you here. Let me just, there we go. Giving them a new mission as they were now heading over to where the Red Star is. The advanced scouts had found an ancient temple in the mountainside and wanted someone to go investigate. So that was their new mission. It was only maybe very slightly over a day's travel away, and they could take whatever provisions they wanted. Now, at this point, after proving themselves to the guild, they were able to requisition whatever equipment they needed within reason. So if they needed a new sword or a new, ammo for that, if they needed food and they needed a horse, they didn't have to pay for anything at this time. Now it was all on the guild. The guild said, yeah, sure, take it. It's all yours. Obviously, if you lose it, you pay for it. So So they had to do that, and their job was to go to this temple, explore, and recover any historical documents and artifacts from this area, and find out who actually owned the ancient temple. The group asked some basic questions about the area, what type of things did they see in the area, gathered up some supplies, and they were pretty much off within the day, ready to figure it out. The ride there was mostly uneventful. Nothing really happened. They did stop and have a little bit of a camp situation and rest a little bit, and nothing really bothered them. I didn't, from a GM point of view, I didn't roll anything as an encounter, so they pretty much got away with just camping, resting, and moving along. When arriving at the actual temple itself, there was a great gateway there, and one of the players, the Great Gateway, had some symbols on it, and one of the players instantly recognized it as it was a temple of the Dragonrite cult. And once he recognized that, he did mention some of the things to the group, and not mention all of it to the group and how he knew it, but he did mention what it was and confirm that what type of temple it was. Some of the group went through it, some of the group went around it. Then they walked down the steps into the ancient temple and went to the ancient temple, and it was full of dust and dirt. They walked into an elaborate hallway, which was once grand and amazing looking greeting area for people in this temple. I do have a map that I can show you here, and here is part of the map because they only went through part of this area. The rest of the blackout area in this map is because I didn't want to show in case they were watching these videos. So they did go down the grand hallway and they went to various places. Here they went to the left down the steps, which will be, we'll just call it to the west for now, which would be, well, that way. That way. They went to the west down the steps. They went into the room and they found this kind of a meeting room in number 5, as you could see there. And they looked around. There were some paintings, and then they found a secret door which looped them back to the main hall room, which they were kind of confused why that was like that. But they continued along because they found a locked door, as you can see right up. Yeah. I guess the arrow's not showing. But anyway, maybe it'll show now. There it is. They found a locked door in this area, so they wanted to find a way to get in. The thief of the group, who was the new old Nomi, managed to get his way into that room. When they got into this room 13 here, this was a room that had some ruins on the ground, and it also had some symbols. The summoner of the group was able to configure them out. There was a little force field type table over here with a key in it. Once they touched it, they just would get zapped by it. So they had to figure out what to do. The summoner had used his abilities to figure out that the symbols actually represented some letters. The letters were N, P, E, O. And basically it spelled open. They had to push open in the correct sequence, O-P-E-N, and then it would open that up. They would take the key. When they went further down to the south, going this way, they went into a room that had some statues and some historical documents and a very important book in there. In the very important book, the Shep character took because he felt it was necessary. The rest of them took the rest of the books. The statues in the room depicted some very grand people with some jewelry on them and some rings and crowns. So they took that stuff as basically historical information. They went further in and they found a bunch of rooms with some dead bodies, some pinned against the bed, some pinned against the wall. They've been dead for quite some time. The empty room here on the right was a broom closet, which they only had a broom in it. They walked down the hallway, which they found under 14 was a room that had a giant protection circle in it, which they used the key for this room. There's a giant protection circle in it, and in the middle of that was a stand, and it had a chalice on it with a mirror on top. They were not sure what it was all about, so the summoner went in there, and he was able to walk around, and he took the broom, and he swiped the mirror off the chalice, which fell to the ground and broke. When he released the mirror, it released some type of entity, which actually he heard saying, "Thank you, now I'm free." Haha, and he laughed. So then Shep, who had the book, started looking through the book and found out that this was holding an ancient phantom flesh-eating demon, or a flesh-eating phantom, I think I called it. And what it does is possess people and try to hunt people down and eat them at night. The person who is possessed is unaware of their possession ability. So now they're thinking they're possibly possessed. Someone is possessed in the group. So that's pretty much, we left it off right there because we didn't have much time to play this time, but that's really where the group ended things. So we left it right there. The reason why the map was blacked out is because we left it right there. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed this recap. I'll go to rollhighordie.com. You can look up for Palladium Megaverse podcast, and you can listen to Season 3 where we're doing Fantasy 1E. And hopefully you enjoy the game and playing it. So with that said, I'm going to head out. Keep it original, keep it old school. Good night, everybody.